I was 16 when this happened, and to this day I can't explain exactly what we encountered that night. It was supposed to be just another camping trip, me and my four best friends, Ethan, Jake, Claire, and Emily. We had done this a dozen times before, taking a weekend to escape into the wilderness, camping out by a secluded lake about 20 miles from Ethan's family cabin. Ethan's parents weren't strict, and we had all been allowed to do things most teenagers wouldn't get away with: camping without adult supervision, staying out late, hiking off trail. We always brought extra supplies, first aid kits, and had a plan in case of emergencies. But nothing could have prepared us for what happened that night. We set up camp in a clearing not too far from the lake. It was a beautiful spot, surrounded by thick forest with no sign of other campers for miles. The first night started off normal. We built a fire, roasted marshmallows, told ghost stories, and laughed until our stomachs hurt. Around midnight, Emily and Claire decided to turn in, while the rest of us stayed by the fire, enjoying the stillness of the night. That's when we heard it. A low, rhythmic tapping sound coming from the trees behind us. At first, we assumed it was just an animal, maybe a woodpecker or a branch swaying in the wind. But the tapping continued, steady, deliberate, almost like a code being knocked into the trees. It wasn't random, it had a pattern. We called out, thinking maybe another camper was messing with us. No response. Jake, always the bravest, grabbed a flashlight and aimed it into the woods. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but dense trees and the eerie glow of mist rolling in over the ground. Then, just as Jake lowered the flashlight, we all heard it. Giggling. Not the kind of giggle you'd expect from a child playing in the woods. It was deep, unnatural, like someone was imitating laughter but didn't quite know how. My stomach dropped. I could see the fear on Ethan's face as he whispered, "Did you guys hear that?" Before anyone could answer, Claire unzipped the girls' tent and stepped out, rubbing her eyes. "Very funny, guys. Who was messing with our tent?" None of us had moved from the fire. "What do you mean?" I asked. She sighed, frustrated. Someone was brushing their hand against the side of it. I could hear breathing right outside. I thought it was one of you. We all exchanged nervous glances. The tapping stopped. The laughter was gone. But an unsettling silence took its place. We decided to call it a night, pretending that everything was fine, but I could tell none of us actually believed that. I laid in my sleeping bag, listening intently to every sound outside. Every rustle of leaves, every gust of wind felt more sinister than it should have. That's when I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, circling the tent. I held my breath, praying that whoever or whatever was outside would go away. My heart pounded so hard I was sure it would wake everyone else up, but no one moved. Then something pressed against the fabric of the tent, right where my head was. A firm hand dragging slowly along the nylon surface. I squeezed my eyes shut, too terrified to breathe. After what felt like forever, the hand disappeared and the footsteps faded into the trees. Morning couldn't come fast enough. When the sun finally rose, we crawled out of our tents, exhausted but relieved. That relief didn't last long. Our campsite was trashed, not just messy, ripped apart. The coolers were overturned, our backpacks had been emptied, and deep gashes ran across both tents as if someone had taken a knife to them. But the worst part, right in the middle of the site, drawn in the dirt, were 3 symbols, perfect circles with jagged lines running through them. None of us recognized them. None of us wanted to. We packed up and left as fast as we could, barely speaking the entire ride back to Ethan's cabin. When we finally had cell service, we searched online for similar symbols, but nothing matched exactly. I don't know who or what was in those woods with us that night. All I know is that something was watching, something was toying with us, and whatever it was, it didn't want us there. and I have a sickening feeling that if we had stayed another night, we wouldn't have made it out at all.